Hey, welcome back to Trek on the Tube, and welcome back to yet another overview and giveaway. Now there's a ring light that's showing up in the, because I have a ring light. Anyway, yes, this is a overview and a giveaway video for the Star Trek PICARD Season 1 Blu-ray. So first I'll talk about the contents of this, and then I'll tell you how you can enter the giveaway. Thank you so much for joining me once again on this channel, by the way. Before we jump into the content that this thing offers, I first wanted to talk about the physical, I suppose, packaging, the cheapness of it all, because it's kind of cheap. But anyway, I'll throw some pictures on screen so you can really analyze what it looks like. Now, yes, do remember that you can get the DVD version that will deliver 720p definition. This is the Blu-ray, and it sports 1080p, so yeah, it's a little better. This particular one has a simple cardboard slipcase, a very basic 3-disc plastic case on the inside, and an ad for the PICARD tie-in novels. And as usual, I guess, with these Star Trek Blu-rays, there's no booklet. We rather have all of the content information written on the underside of the cover, making most of the words and art difficult to see and read if you don't physically pull the thing out. And look, I know it's not Star Trek's fault, and I know it's not Viacom CBS's fault that things are made like this. I complain about the cheapness of it, but that's just how things are made nowadays. They are made to be cheap. There is a steelbook version of the Blu-ray that you can get if you're interested in having something that looks very flash. I will say though that this cover that they have, the cover art, I love it a lot. This poster, or the promotional image, however you want to call it, when it was released, I fell in love with it, and so I am very happy that they used that. All right, let's jump right into this. The set includes 3 discs, respectively, with each 3, 4, and 3 episodes of the show and their bonus features. Disc 1. For episode 1, we get a 3-minute story log highlighting the importance of Hanali Culpepper being a woman directing, and she also tells us about how much of a Trekkie she is, how much of a fan of the Next Generation she is. It's so cool to have someone that loves the franchise be involved with it. And you know this already, but I think she did a wonderful job with the pilot. I still think it's one of the best Star Trek first episodes of any show. Following this, we get a commentary track for the episode that I did not watch, and then we get a deleted scene that was so good. I am genuinely puzzled as to why they decided to cut it. I get that there are time limits for episodes, and I probably do sound like a broken record when I say this, but I think that's stupid. We're in the age of streaming, of video on demand. Viacom CBS, stop limiting and dare I say impeding the artistic vision of your creators, and let them make longer or shorter episodes if they like. This deleted scene, in my opinion, should have stayed in. I mean, my whole rant is kind of null and void if it was a creative decision to take the scene out, but anyway, I don't think so. What I really liked about it was seeing other people work on the vineyard, as well as, you know, Picard. It wasn't just Picard alone with number 1 walking around. There was also a racism element that I found tied well into the general narrative of the season. It's a shame it was cut out. Great scene, correctly spoken French. The vineyard felt more alive. It was a win all over. Episode 2. Let's move on. Here also we get a story log, 8 minutes long. Michael Chabon talks about the challenges of introducing the audience to a fictional world where so much time has passed and so many events have occurred. That's right, when Picard picks up, it's been 20 years since we've last seen this particular patch of Star Trek. We also get some insight as to how the writing team and Sir Patrick Stewart himself felt about this older Picard and how he should be portrayed. And then Akiva Goldsman talks about Narek and Narissa, the Romulan siblings, with a bit of an incest vibe that most Trekkies weren't too comfortable with. Turns out the 2 characters weren't initially siblings. They were in fact originally supposed to be having sex. I don't know if they were supposed to be romantically involved in any way, but yeah, they were hanging and banging, as my boy Kit Wolski would put it. From what I understand, their relation was changed as the production progressed, and so some of the scenes were already shot, and that's why we have these remnants of their sexual, relationship or sexual tension in those first episodes. It's a bit bizarre, but at least it makes sense now. For episode 3, the story log is only about 4.5 minutes long. There's not too much insight in this one or behind the scenes information, but it was real cute. It was real wholesome seeing Chabon basically fanboy about filming at the iconic location that is Vasquez Rocks. He talks about the original series, about Arena, about the Gorn specifically. He seemed genuinely over the moon, and it was fun to watch. I still do think the Vasquez Rocks in Star Trek in 2399 should be a protected site, and therefore Rafi would be trespassing, but whatever. The final thing on this first disc is Children of Mars, the Picard tie-in Short Treks episode. You all know what I think of this being on this particular Blu-ray, rather than the Short Treks Blu-ray, so I won't get into that. Disc 2! Starting with the story log for episode 4, which is about 5 minutes long. There's nothing much to say in this one. We talk a bit about Elnor, and Jonathan Frakes talks about his experience directing. Same thing for the episode 5 story log. It is a bit longer at 7 minutes, but apart from learning that Bjayzl was named that way because the original placeholder name was Big Jim Slade, we don't learn that much, even if we do talk about Seven of Nine and her involvement with the show. We then move on to episode 6. The story log is also 7 minutes. This was very interesting because Chabon talked about basically creating Romulan canon. Now, not only did he actually use the word canon right, but it also genuinely looked like he understood the meaning of it, which I know that sounds so condescending, but sometimes I get the feeling that the word canon is just thrown around in these Blu-rays because people are told to say it, but they don't quite understand what it is. Not here. Chabon understood the word canon, he used it correctly, and I couldn't agree more with him. Exploring this established species in more depth, designing and creating things like the radiation weapon or the Romulan rituals we see on screen must have been a fascinating experience and project. Imagining new layers to each aspect of Star Trek is something that I personally love doing, so seeing it done well on screen in these official shows is a joy for me. We finished Disc 2 with the last story log, 6 minutes for episode 7. We dive into the importance, the impact, the significance, the challenge of bringing back legacy characters to this modern era of Star Trek. Frakes talks about not acting in over 10 years and having to get back into the groove of things, and Sir Patrick Stewart expresses his desire to see all of the main cast of The Next Generation return for Picard, which is really cool. It doesn't mean it'll happen, but considering he's a producer on the show, maybe, just maybe, he'll have his word to say and we can get some sort of reunion at some point. Disc 3! There are 3 discs! I'm so stupid. The episode 8 story log is a to-the-point 5 minutes of Sir Patrick Stewart talking about the lasting impact that the events depicted in Nemesis had on Picard. We then talk about Picard's relationship with Data, with his newly found friend Soji, and yes, they do talk about that one scene Picard and Soji had on La Sirena. Beautiful. Grand compliments were thrown around all over the place at the writers for being so in tune with the relationship between Picard and Data. And, well, you know what? I have to agree 1,000,000%. That scene between Picard and Soji is a standout moment for the show, and out of all of the things that Picard Season 1 did to try and bookend the Picard and Data relationship, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the most effective. So yes, the writers were indeed in tune with Picard and Data's history. Episode 9, we continue on with these story logs. This one is only 4 minutes. Spiner talks about being yet another Sung, and we learn that the production went through some troubles because they couldn't film these final episodes in their originally planned location due to a heat wave. So they improvised and basically picked up filming in this location in the mountains. Now, that means that a lot of it was rushed. The setup wasn't very practical for the cast and crew, but you know what? If I'm honest, putting the story aside for these 2 last episodes, just looking at the sets and at the props, it all turned out great. So big congrats to everyone involved, and thank you so much for going through that very tough shoot for us all. Episode 10, the story log is 7.5 minutes. The biggest takeaway for me in this segment is Sir Patrick Stewart bought the chair he sat on in that final data scene because it meant so much to him, so now it's sitting in his house. Other than that, it's basically just everyone talking about the death of Picard, how shocking and surprising it all is, etc. I don't agree. He was killed and revived in the same scene. I feel that simply undercuts his death, so that didn't really work for me. Before we move on to bigger bonus features, I do want to mention there were 2 deleted scenes for these final episodes. I agree with them being cut. They brought nothing of interest. Aliens Alive! The XBs, 12 minutes. A segment about how difficult it is to reimagine the Borg. Oh god. Look, seeing all the steps that go into the creation of the species design and the prosthetics, seeing Jerry Ryan become 7 of 9 as the makeup was applied, that was great. That was all fantastic. Talent and hard work are showcased, and we get a fun glimpse as to what it's like being an actor going through the makeup process, so that's all good. On the other hand, and there's really no delicate way to say this, but Neville Page kinda sounded a bit clueless when it came to the Borg. Like, he's talking about reimagining them, making them more realistic. He's talking about the iconic eyebrow piece that Seven has, but none of what he was talking about was in the show. None of the final product reflected what he was saying. The Borg didn't need to be reimagined, I mean, in the first place, but also the Borg cube, the Borg tech applied to the actors felt less real, less realistic than in previous iterations, disappointingly. I mean, the 7 of 9 makeup was not as good as it was in Voyager. I'm sorry. For starters, it's wrong. Like, it's not the same piece, and there's no reason why it should be different. Second, it looks like plastic, whereas in Voyager, it actually looked metallic. It looked real in Voyager, fake in Picard. So, yeah. Anyway. Picard props, 13 minutes. This is a bit of a discussion with one Jeff Lombardi. He talked about the Chateau Picard labels and bottles, as well as the ball that was converted into a bomb at the end of the season. This guy was really cool, I gotta say. Like, he dived deep into the explanation of the Romulan board game that he designed and built from scratch. It's a fully playable game too, so that was awesome. And then we got to take a look at how the golem that Picard was put into was conceptualized and created. So much hard work went into this physical prop, the silicone body. So much detail was visible, but the final scene included VFX on top of it, so you can't really make out the actual real physical details on screen that were in the physical prop. That's a bit of a shame. Anyway, the Motley Crew, 19 minutes, our longest bonus feature, but ironically not the one I can speak the most about. It's basically all the actors and some of the crew talking about the new characters that were introduced in this season. The actors reflect on their performances, their experiences, their arcs as characters. Michael Chabon finished it all off with his explanation and understanding of the word or statement that is engage. And to end all of this wonderful journey is an 8-minute gag reel. There you go. That's all of it. Frankly, I don't think there's quite enough material. Maybe I'm a bit too demanding, but I think that 2 hours, including a short treks that doesn't really have its place here, is a bit light, you know, content-wise. Perhaps more VFX breakdowns or on-set walkarounds would be nice, you know, concept art, that kind of thing. But hey, it is what it is. The fact that I find there's not enough content does not mean that the content we do get isn't good. On the contrary, I found most of it very interesting. Now, based on what I saw, I kind of get the feeling that Picard was, you know, at least this first season, was really rushed. People are constantly talking about evolving scripts, impromptu set changes, creative and artistic shortcuts or concessions, all due to time restraints. I'm not in the industry, so I don't exactly know how things work. I do know that this is a common thing with, you know, traditional TV shows. The time is always of the essence. I don't know about this streaming service or video on demand era, though. Is that really an issue? All I can say from a fan's perspective, I guess, Viacom CBS, if you're out there listening, is if you need to take a few more weeks, a few more months, even a few more years to really perfect those scripts, those VFX or those sets or those props, then just do it, you know, take it. I'm 100% okay with that. Quality over quantity always, you know. We don't need copy-paste fleets. You can release it later on. maybe there were contracts obligating certain, release dates, but you get my point. Personally, as a fan, I'm fine with you taking all the time you need to make it be as good as it can. And that's about it. My overview is done. There's only one thing left to do. Explain the rules of the giveaway. If you want this copy, this very copy that I have touched with my fingers and that I have used in order to make this video, all you have to do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave a comment with the hashtag PICARD. In the comment section, I will then use an online comment generator to randomly select one of the comments with that hashtag in it, and you'll be the winner. I am willing to send this anywhere in the world. The giveaway is open to anyone, so I'll send it to Singapore if I have to. Just do keep in mind that these Blu-rays are sadly region blocked. They're zoned, so this is a North American Blu-ray, But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Tell everyone you know about the giveaway and about the channel. You can support this channel by becoming a patron, like all of these wonderful people that I've put up on screen. Like, subscribe, and as always, live long and prosper. I will announce the winner in my next video, by the way, which is in 2 weeks. It'll be like an original series review. So yeah, live long and prosper. No, that's 2 Wolski. Live long and prosper.